Good evening. This is Bob Clark welcoming you to CINEKYD Theater. Tonight, we're going to depart a little bit from our standard format and provide you with an opportunity to spend one whole evening behind the scenes, giving you a chance to meet some of the up-and-coming filmmakers, some of the young people who serve as the talented actors and actresses in our various series, to see just what life is like here at CINEKYD. So settle back and relax, because here comes a special edition of CINEKYD Theater. One of the most active departments at CINEKYD is the cinema department, where films are made and edited, and where another Steven Spielberg will soon emerge. With us tonight, a couple of those talented filmmakers, and first, Eric Korsh. Eric, we're going to take a look at one of your films. Would you tell our viewers at home what it is that they're going to see?
These are the outtakes from the movie Whiplash, which was filmed over the summer, and I took them and put it to music.
What are outtakes?
Those are the unused portions of the film.
Are they all good shots?
Some of them.
We're really working blind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this should be very entertaining, I'm sure. These are outtakes, a creation of Mr. Eric Korsh, and this is a collection of sequences that you didn't see in the CINEKYD feature production, Whiplash. the time that the movie was made, Eric was not a part of the CINEKYD family. But Gene Settembrino was. Gene, do you feel that Eric has captured the essence of the motion picture Whiplash?
Yes, he did a very good job.
That seemed to be an awfully violent collection of clips. Do you feel that the movie was quite that active?
No, it wasn't, because what Eric used was what we didn't use in the film. So he used most of the fight scenes that we didn't use.
The music seemed pretty active to me, so I chose fight scenes.
We're going to go from here to here. But instead of looking at movies, we're going to join a rehearsal for that award-winning series, CINEKYD Radio Playhouse. Let's watch and listen.
Camper for any trip longer than to the Kmart and back.
Oh, nonsense, Max. I'm sure your family is very nice.
Have you met them?
Max, is that your dog?
Which dog?
The one that just jumped out of the back of the Winnebago as it was pulling out of the parking lot?
Where?
Over there. He just ran into the studio gates.
Oh, Hugo, come back there. Whoa, boy.
Oh, jeez. I told her to lock the door on that thing. Why'd she bring that mutt with her anyway?
Did you see him? Did you see him? That dog just ran right into the studio. Didn't even stop when I called him.
Maybe he didn't understand English.
Hey, you're right. He could be a foreign dog.
Oh, brother.
Never mind, Jefferson. It wasn't your fault. That's my dog. I'll go catch him. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the tour. Killer, come to Daddy.
Killer.
Daddy?
Including the soon-to-be-released horror film, Arbor Day.
Arbor Day? That doesn't sound like a horror movie, Drew. Are you sure it's not a musical or something?
Oh, no, Donna. It's a horror movie, all right. It's about this deranged lumberjack who becomes possessed by the spirit of this evil old oak tree and goes out every Arbor Day and starts chopping up all the people who cut down oak trees in the forest.
Oh.
Sounds really scary, huh?
I'm more frightened by the fact that they would make a movie like that in the first place.
What does that mean?
Nothing. Come on, folks. You never know when you might get attacked by a deranged lumberjack.
I think it sounds like a great idea, Donna. Nobody's ever done one quite like it before.
There's probably a real good reason for that, Drew.
But it's got everything. Demonic possession, blood and gore, ecology.
Well, be that as it may, we've got a schedule to keep to.
You know, each and every week for the past 6, 8, 10 months, boys and girls from CINEKYD, many of these young people have helped to produce CINEKYD Radio Playhouse. It's a combination of acting skills and more than a little technical proficiency. To my right, the executive producer of the series, Miss Gwen Fine, who is a staff member at CINEKYD. Okay, we're into our second season. Does it get any easier?
Yes, it does. It gets easier because the kids get a lot better.
You actually rehearse one evening and 48 hours later commit the entire broadcast to tape, right?
Right.
Now let's be honest. They are youngsters. Some of them are bright. Many of them are eager. And they're all enthusiastic. Always?
I will say 95% of the time.
You're very gracious.
Yes, I am. We care about each and every one of them, seems to work.
To my left, the director and the scriptwriter for this season's dramas, the assistant director of CINEKYD Enterprises Incorporated, Miss Wendy Worthington. One script each and every week since the beginning of the fall, right?
That's right.
How difficult is it to come up with new ideas on such a regular basis?
Well, it's not too tough because a lot of times the students come up with particular ideas for their characters or situations that they think would be interesting. A lot of it is writing for the particular actor and what they can add to the character, finding out what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. Some of them are much more able to handle a lot of dialogue. Some of them are good at characterizations. And some of them have added a lot of little extra touches to their characters, especially the ones with continuing characters. And we try to employ that as much as possible in the series.
This is the nucleus right here of CINEKYD Radio Playhouse. From the world of radio to the efforts of this talented filmmaker, once again we're going to take a look at the product of a lot of time, a lot of effort from our cinema department. With me, Mr. Frank Smith, who is sometimes an actor and sometimes a film editor. Frank, tell us a little bit about the movie we're going to see.
Well, it's a mixture of outtakes and background shots, and it's kind of the funny part of it. The shots that were either messed up or just were never shown.
Who selected these sequences?
I did.
What did you use as criteria for the portions of film that you would use, Frank?
Well, I used the music. I selected the Cantina song from Star Wars. And it was a fast-moving song, so I thought it would go with it.
And then you built the whole motion picture around that.
Right.
Okay, let's watch an original creation from a CINEKYD filmmaker, Mr. Frank Smith. Now these folks you've seen rather regularly on the weekly series, The Ghost of Telford Mansion. Some of them have yet to appear, and their characters will be revealed in just a few weeks. And of course, to my right is the associate performer on this series, our tour guide, Mr. Dave Trachtenberg.
Vern Rubin.
Peter Tuscarello.
Frank Schlatter.
Chris Wilson.
Susan Matthews. Mindy Trachtenberg. Jill Degenhart.
Very well done. And now back here,
Ken Klinger.
Mark Salfi.
Dave Frick.
Ashley Barlow.
Goes without saying that these are very talented young people. Each and every week they bring us spine-tingling entertainment. In just a couple seconds, we're going to take a look at Telford Mansion as you'll be seeing it in the weeks to come. But please join me as we move behind the scenes even further and meet some of the technical people who put the show on tape.
This is Jeff Worthington, and he's the executive producer of CINEKYD Theater. Jeff, what do you do as a producer for the show?
On Wednesday nights, that means getting the Telford Mansion sequence together, and that's the set we're on right here, is one of the Telford sets, and this is the crew that tapes Telford Mansion.
How do you get them ready for a taping on the nights that you tape?
That involves rehearsals. For Telford Mansion, that's on a Tuesday night if we tape on a Wednesday. For some of your bits and for Flywheel, that's usually at other odd times, which is appropriate. And once it's rehearsed, then we have to get the technical people familiar with the scene.
Thanks, Jeff. I just want everybody to just say their name to the camera. Kevin Dune, Larry Roger, Frank Carver, John Justice,
Rodney Bancroft, Tom Davis.
One of the divisions, brand new to our department this year, is the radio announcing crew. And I've asked Dave if he would introduce the staff member whose responsibility it is to develop the new announcers, newscasters, and disc jockeys that you'll be hearing on the radio in the very near future.
This is John Peterson, who's the head of the crew. And John's going to tell us a little bit about his crew. John, what does your crew do?
Well, basically, we're responsible for producing advertisements for CINEKYD Radio Playhouse on WCSD-FM every Thursday night at 7:30. And also for advertising upcoming CINEKYD events like movie nights and bazaars and special events on CINEKYD Theater.
Karen Augustine,
Denise White, Ed Blumenthal, Darrell Hirsch,
John Severn, Mike Rodas, Jeremy Fayette, Adam Abraham,
Jim Howard.
The best part is the comedy. No way, the best part is the drama. Come on, you can't beat the funny antics of all those crazy studio people. Yeah, but what about the great Western adventure? I like CINEKYD Radio Playhouse's great brand of offbeat comedy. I like CINEKYD Radio Playhouse's exciting Western drama, The Reeds of the Triple R. So what are we fighting about if we both like the same show? You always find something to fight about, especially if we like the same thing. But we'd never miss a single episode of CINEKYD Radio Playhouse. It's on every Thursday night at 7 on WCSD-FM. CINEKYD Radio Playhouse for both comedy and drama. Right.
Radio announcing, newscasting, and the like are not the only things that concern this particular crew. Jim Howard, a senior high school student in Upper Moreland Township, will be the disc jockey of a new series being developed by CINEKYD. The first group to be featured on this program will be what group, Jim?
I'll be King Crimson.
And what we're going to have will be a show featuring Jim and some of the other folks that you've met that deals with popular music, a 30-minute special broadcast. What sets this program apart from the many, many DJ programs that are on the air now, Jim?
Well, in this program, I don't need to be commercialized. I don't need to play what everybody wants to hear. I can play things that are not necessarily popular, really popular, because we're not playing for advertising or anything. So that sets this apart.
And how do you plan to develop the particular shows that you'll be handling? What kinds of things will you be including other than music?
Well, I'll be telling about each group and how they got together and what members are in each group and their history in music and what particular songs to listen for.
Remember, you heard it here first at CINEKYD. And now on to the world of the wonderful Uncle Flywheel.
Right now, Uncle Flywheel is one of the shows that most commonly uses makeup. These are the makeup artists who are involved in making up the elves and Uncle Flywheel himself.
Ann Stillglass,
Linda McCleary,
Lisa Kaufman,
Debbie Nemiroff,
Tracy Prince of Valley,
Erin Callie.
Debbie, you probably, right out of this group, you've been working with makeup the longest. How do you make up one of the elves for Uncle Flywheel series?
Well, first of all, what we do is we put powder on them to even their faces out. And then we have like a cream liner in different colors. Usually each elf has about 3 or 4 different colors. And we put the makeup on their lips, cheeks, over their eyes for eyebrows. And then 2 out of 3 of the elves get little rouge dots on their cheeks. And the other one just is plain.
Thank you, Debbie. Now we're going to talk with Mr. Clark and Uncle Flywheel and Stuart, his little helper.
Thank you, Dave. Even as we speak, we are here in Uncle Flywheel's workshop, or rather what is the interior set for the workshop. With me, Scott Wolfson, a student at the Upper Moreland Senior High School, and Frank Smith, a student at Upper Moreland's Middle School, who are the 2 principal players in the sequence. Scott, what's the biggest problem in playing the part of a man who's supposed to be 70 or 80 years old?
The fake mustache, I think, is...
You find the makeup the greatest difficulty?
The mustache doesn't let your face move all that much. You can't really smile with the mustache, or it tends to fall off.
A lot of actors and actresses get into the discussion of, really having to get into the character. Are you able, with Uncle Flywheel, to really grasp the true meaning of his personality?
I think so, yeah. He's a kindly old man. He's something for the kids to watch.
How about the lessons he teaches?
There are things that the kids should learn at a very early age. The age group watching that, who that's geared to, should be learning things like that.
If Uncle Flywheel is the kindly old man, always even-tempered, always willing to take a few minutes to chat, his world is populated by tiny helpers who, as we are taping this, are fast asleep. But one other little stinker in the workshop is his helper, Stuart, played very capably by Frank Smith. Frank, how does Stuart differ in personality from you?
Well, Stuart's more of a stinker than I am. And he...
Are you sure of that?
He acts a lot cooler. Or more macho or something. And he's pretty much, he's not a bad kid, but he gets into trouble.
Uncle Flywheel is probably one of the most challenging undertakings at CINEKYD because of Scott's talent and Frank's ability. We are able for the first time to really attempt to teach youngsters to present in the kindest way possible a number of lessons. And each week, Scott very carefully wraps up the segment as best he can by bringing home the message. However, since this is a very special program, I thought you might appreciate an opportunity to watch 2 sequences that you haven't seen in Uncle Flywheel's workshop. There are many of them, far too many to be included here. But if you've been a regular viewer, you'll find these little adventures amusing nonetheless. Watch very carefully, please, and listen first as Uncle Flywheel attempts to deal with 3 tiny helpers and Stuart, and gets so wrapped up in what he's doing that he completely forgets what he's saying. Let's watch.
And we're going to take a look at a little bit of it. I want you to watch, but more important, I want you to listen very carefully. I want you to... Shoot.
Watch the camera work on this particular take. As we know it fondly, I believe it's called mellowing out.
Fits in very well with our motto. Each one, reach one. Good night.
Bye!
What's that, boy? Go!
From the world of Uncle Flywheel, we take you now to Telford Mansion. Take a close look at this. This is a miniature created by the graphics crew. Landscaped, designed exclusively for our series. It's a beautiful effort. At this particular time, I'd like you to meet some of the very talented folks that you've seen on camera just a couple weeks ago, but I thought you might like to say hi to them again. We're very proud to introduce this CINEKYD graphics crew, and here's Dave to introduce them.
Miss Bride, who is one of the teachers, is not here tonight. But here's Jeff Stein, who is another one of the teachers.
Eric Curland, Mark Miller, Rita Augustine, Leanne White,
Lynn McDonald,
Jake O'Shara, Joe McMahon,
Bev Slaughter,
Mitch Silverman, Jeff Pipple, George Chacamis.
Thank you. And now back to Mr. Clark, who's talking with the film editing department.
With me, the young gentleman responsible for coordinating their efforts, a former CINEKYD himself, now a college student majoring in communications, and one of our graduate assistants, Mr. Dan Oceanreither. Dan, about how many films do you have in progress at the moment?
In progress, we have approximately 9 to 12.
Okay. That many movies being worked on at any one time. I'd like to introduce to you some of Dan's crew members, or perhaps better phrase that, let them introduce themselves. Once again,
Eric Korsch,
Mark Weaver,
Ken Klinger,
Chris Wilson,
Paul Salvi,
Frank Smith,
Mark Salvi,
Dave Frick.
last but far from least, the gentleman responsible for much of what you've seen tonight. Their efforts on camera and on mic made it possible for us to put this live family album together. Seated in the center, Mr. Mike May, Mr. Ralph Abbott. How difficult is it to teach as opposed to grabbing hold of the gear and doing it yourself?
In many instances, I prefer to do it myself, but the guys I have on my crew are very sharp.
Do you know of any other programs comparable to CINEKYD where the kids get this kind of an opportunity?
No, I think it's really a very unique experience for everyone.
And that comes, of course, from a master educator. Flanking them, senior Dave Green, a new CINEKYD, but someone who has done a commendable job in a short period, Mr. Darren Poley.
Well, that's it for CINEKYD Theater this week. But we'll see you next week and every week on CINEKYD Theater. And me and all the kids of CINEKYD would like to say so long, and good night, and God bless.